Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangelosi and that's a video tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. Today we'll work on a simple tutorial related to VRay rendering engine, and we'll see how we can work with the rendering engine to prepare some HDR images to be used to illuminate a 3D scene. So the main idea is to prepare the HDR map using 3ds Max as a rendering from a 3D scene, and then use it to illuminate a mesh or something like that. So we did not use custom photos or HDR map, pick it from other sources. We'll prepare everything from zero. Today we'll do something simple to have the right amount of time to understand how to play with the various features and to understand better the main workflow. This workflow is really simple. Obviously, it's just one workflow. There are many ways to achieve the same result, but we'll see in this way a simple and fast approach. So we'll start creating an environment. And I like to create a 3D environment, a closed environment, so something like an interior. And we'll use it to illuminate later a mesh. So let's imagine to have a plane. We'll try to do a really simple environment. Let's imagine maybe 4 meters and 7 meters. And then we need obviously the wall. And let's say maybe 2.5 meters. Then we convert to editable poly. We can select the space, remove it, or maybe not. We can use it because we need to stay inside, so we can just move a little bit down this one. Then we can create a camera to see inside. Let's use for the moment a target camera. So you see we have an environment and we have a really simple room actually. Okay, let's change a little bit the perspective to see more. Okay, then let's imagine that we are talking about a photo studio, so something really simple. Obviously, if you like to achieve really nice result with better reflection and all the other stuff, you have to put inside the scene a huge amount of detail and objects. Obviously now we are doing something really simple. We'll have a plane there, and we'll do something to create a door on this side, and obviously to do it we need an higher level. Let's say 1 meters, and it will be higher. Let's say 2 meters. Okay, let's move it. Then we can select this one, but let's move it there. Okay, let's select this one and we go there. Compound objects, pro boolean, start picking, and we select this one. But we have a problem with the faces there, but we can use directly the boolean picking. Okay, we have the same problem, but we can convert to editable poly, and we can see if we have the problem there. Yes, we have the problem, so we need to solve this problem. Let's do, to make it more simple, we remove this one, then we use the shell modifier Okay, something like that. And then again we try boolean and peak, and we have the right hole made it. So we can convert again to editable poly, and we can have a box there. Obviously you see I'm doing everything really not precise. It is just to have a simple environment done and ready. So this one will be the roof, this one will be a round box, this one is the ground, and we have there the wall. Okay, let's say to use the default lights and to go for shaded. Okay, then I like to have the something like a door there, and we can use maybe, let's see the doors there, let's see the sliding. Okay. Okay, let's change everything. The height will be 2 meters. The width will be 1 meter, and the depth will be 10 centimeters. With the angle snap 90 degree, and we can move it in the right position. Okay, so we have a door there. Perfect. We have part of the scene. Let's start to play with the environment, and let's say that obviously you have to use VRay, so we go there to select the rendering engine, assign render, and we choose VRay Advanced. Then in the material editor we can create some simple shader using the VRay shader. We use the VRay material and we call it ground, assigned to this one and to this one too. So let's do something really simple, so we can use the substance, so we don't need texture or something like that. Let's see what we can use. Let's see this map. I like to see if something can be used that's nice for output, for outside scene. We need something more interesting for an interior. Maybe we have to do something different. Let's see the concrete. Maybe we can use this one. Let's see the map. We'll have a strange environment, but that's nice, it's not a problem. Okay, let's change the tiling. Let's say maybe 6 and 6. Okay, so it is a little bit low, but maybe it's not the right one, because it will seem not so similar to a photo studio. So we can do something different. We can use a map, a bitmap. We'll use a 3ds Max map. So I go inside the texture there. Let's see the icons. Okay, and we'll use, for example, this one, concrete cast in place. Okay, you see we have this kind of panel, big panel. and we'll do, obviously we move it there as a copy. Perfect. So now we do something different. There in the bitmap we use a composite, keep all map, another layer, and we move this one there. Then as basic layer we use an RGB tint to have a color, and we go for something similar, a white color, so the others can be black color, and let's make a copy. Okay, and this one can be at 50, maybe 40%, just to see it a little bit. So let's copy this one, and we can use it there as reflection map, but we say freshen reflection, and we go to have a glossy reflection. Then the same map can be used as bitmap, as map. So copy, the blur can be higher, and that's all. Maybe we can have less bumping, something really low. Okay, we have the first shader. We can save the scene. So in the right folder, 3ds Max rendering HDRI Image Render with VRay, and let's copy everything. Okay, perfect, and the scene will be named in the same way. Okay, so now we have to create the material for the wall, and the wall will be something like a white color. So wall, so we'll have no reflection, and let's say that the VRay material, and it will be just a color, and it will have a little bit of reflection with a Fresnel, and later we see if it is going in the right way or not. Another thing we can do is to do maybe this one in a different way, so we can use a different ground. Let's call it black ground to create some variation, to have nicer reflection. So this one will be black with a little bit of reflection with the Fresnel. I'm not taking care about the various parameters there for the IRR or other things, because it is not so important. Let's call this one door, and the door can be maybe made of wood. So bitmap, let's see if we have some interesting wood there that can be used. It is obviously not so important because we have to do something really simple, but let's say maybe this one. To generate mapping coordinates. Okay, to see the map, and then let's copy this one there, and there we'll use a color correction, keep all map, and we remove the saturation, so we have a black and white map. Let's use a lower level, and we can have also a bump map, is on the same map there. Let's say 5 and 0.25. Okay, nice. So then we have the ground there and the roof. The roof can be maybe black, so we have more interesting reflection. Actually, we have no lighting. Let's imagine that we have some lighting on the top. So we'll use the VRay Light. Let's say that maybe we have 4 main light on the top of the scene. Then we make a copy there as an instance, and we select both, and using the shift key we make another copy as an instance. Okay, so now we can change the camera, and we can go to use a VRay camera. Let's use a physical camera, and let's move, obviously, let's use not target, sorry, let's move this camera. Let's change the focal to see in a better way, and save, and let's do the first render, 900, 400, and we can do the test at a lower resolution with no anti-alias. Let's see, with no GI. Okay, that's the illumination for the moment. Let's say with a GI, let's use the light cache, use calculation phase 32 for the number of passes, because I have 32 core, so you have to thread, sorry, you have to put the number of the thread you like to use for the calculation. And in the radians, let's say low, show calculation phase again. We can use also a lower value for the light cache to be faster during the calculation there. Okay, that's our illumination for the moment. Let's select the light, and let's see also the camera to understand what we have there. We have the exposure, we have a 200 with a film speed ISO. Let's go to 250, and there we can put 500 to be faster. Let's see again. You see that we have a little bit more light. Okay, then to work in a really simple way, we can select the light, and let's say that the multiplier is 85, and render again. You see that we have more lighting than before, but maybe it is still not so much. Let's say 125. I think it is better to remove this mesh there, because I like to see the shadows. Okay, you see that the illumination is not bad, and the environment obviously is really simple. Let's imagine that we have something to the wall, just to have a more interesting environment. So let's say something like that. I put something really simple, and let's put it there. I'm not taking care about any other parameter, and let's use a VRay material, and then let's imagine to have maybe directly a bitmap, and I can use a bitmap. It is a really simple map. I prepared it before, so I can go in the folder where we have the tutorial, and you see that's the map. So you see something really simple. and let's check it. Okay, it works. Let's go there, 001, and we'll have a little bit of reflection, let's say something like that, and it will be really low for the reflection glossiness. Let's see a new preview. Okay, something obviously nothing special, but it is interesting. I like to see which kind of shadows we are creating. So let's see in this way, and I like also to have a more little render region and more megabytes for the rendering. So you see we have soft shadows, but maybe it will be interesting to have a light panel there. So we imagine to have a light panel. Let's imagine that we are using the light panel from a photo studio. So it will stay there. Obviously we will downmodel the mesh, but you know that we are using it, and let's say that this one is with more energy. We have the shadows, and I like to see it will be useful also to have some additional reflections over the mesh when we'll use this map as the HDR map. And we have also a little bit of better illumination for our scene. So the environment obviously is still really simple, but that's not important. Let's see if this object will be a chrome object to see better the reflection. And this one will be a VRay material. We'll use a black color with the freshener reflection set to maximum. We'll have just a little bit of glossiness, and the IRR will be 24. So a really reflective mesh. Save, and let's see a render. So we can see which kind of reflection we'll have inside the scene. Okay, we have simple reflection. We can have maybe we can make a copy. So we'll use something like we done there. We copy on the other side to have some reflection. So we pick this one. Let's make a clone. And we can rotate it by 180, sorry. And then we can move on the other side of the room. Okay, so that's really simple and really nice. Now we should have a better situation. We can check how it is working there. Okay, we have a better reflection. I like to see inside the built-in frame buffer to see how the image is looking, and we have to tune also the linear workflow parameter, so you see that everything is darker. But if we check in Super RGB, we see the right image. Just to check there, let's say that our gamma will be 2.2. and we'll have, let's say, an exponential. So you see that now we have more illumination because we are working with a higher gamma, and if we see the image without the sRGB, we have a better representation of our illumination. Okay, let's say that this environment is ready, so we can save. So first of all, we don't need this one, so we can hide it. Then we can move the camera to the center of the room, and we rotate it to see in the front. Okay, now we can set other parameter to have it used in the right way. So the first thing I like to do is to change some parameters, and let's set the FOV to 180 degree, and then we go inside the renderer and we have to set some parameter there for the camera. So let's close there, we go inside the camera, and we need to use, let's go for the warper spherical, the old style, override FOV, and we say 360 degree. Let's try to render again. And you see that we have a spherical map as an HDR map. So that's the right way to achieve an HDR map in this way. So what we have to do now is to say, let's use the anti-alias. Let's use a better illumination. So let's say maybe 1500, and let's use a medium. Obviously you can use higher value, but that's not so important for this test. And then the resolution, I will do it not so high. Let's try with 1000 alpha. You can do something like 3000, but you have to remember that the image must be 2 times bigger on the x-axis. So 1000 alpha, and there you need to use 750. So the image aspect must be 2.0. Let's say that this resolution is okay. I can start the rendering. Obviously it will take a little bit. I can stop the recording. Okay, rendering is done, so we can save it, and we save it there as HDR map, and we use obviously the HDR file. So .hdr, and let's say that the gamma will be 1.0. Okay, save. Perfect. So let's save, let's reset, and let's see how we can use it. So let's do something like that. Let's say that we have 4 meters by 4 meters, and then we have a teapot over it. So there the first thing we do is to have a light, and we need a light dome. So we can create a light. Then let's say that this one is a light dome. It will stay in the middle of the scene, and then we have to say that we are using an image. You see, use texture. So let's go there, and let's say that we are using a map, and the map will be a VRay HDRI browse, and we'll use the map we just created. So in the tutorial, HDRI Image HDR image. So this one. Obviously, we have to say that we are using a spherical one. And we use this one for the moment without the need to do other thing. We leave everything by default. So then we can copy this one there as an instance. Let's say that we are not working on the reflection, so just diffuse and specular, so we'll have no reflection. And then we have everything we need. We can just maybe have higher resolution, and we can have also higher subdivision. Let's have a really low shadow bias, and let's say that there we have 1000 that's the resolution we used. So then we have to go inside VRay, let's say 900, 400. Let's set the gamma to 2.2, and then let's go for exponential, and let's say that we use the enable built-in, and let's see what happened. Okay, you see that we have a really huge illumination there, so we can work on the map. So what we can do is to use a color correction, and we can start playing with the map. So what we can do is to change the color there of the map to have something darker. So we like to have less illumination. Let's see what happened. You see that we are starting to have the right illumination there. Obviously we have this kind of color because it is picked there. We can use a saturation, so we can have a more neutral lighting, and you see that we start to have the shadows. If we like to have more precise shadows, we can have higher contrast, so we need to create contrast between the light inside the scene, obviously, to achieve a more precise lighting. We can see the map better there in the viewport to see, in the material editor. If we set, for example, to in this way to 3ds Max standard, so you see which light we are using. So we can go higher there and lower there. So you see that we are picking just this light to illuminate the scene, and then there we can say to use the global illumination, let's say really low, and then in the brute force we can use this value. So let's see now the rendering. Let's say to use the light cache to be faster, 532, and show calculation process. Okay, now it is black. We have to check there if we are doing something too high and we are losing the illumination. Okay, let's set back the right level there, so we'll use a darker level, but the main issue is there inside the map because we use the standard just to see the map, so we have to go back to the spherical, and let's render again, and now you see that we have also the global illumination with the shadows. Obviously you can have a more precise shadows without the lamp over the top of the scene, but actually we have not so bad shadow done using the HDR map. Now what we need is to have the reflection. So we can go there, environment, and we can make a copy. We can paste it there as a copy. And then we can copy as an instance inside the reflection. So let's say that we need all the color. So we remove the saturation, and let's try to have the basic value we used for the map. So we have the default value 0, 0. Let's redo the render, but obviously we need this one to be a chromic. So we can use a VRay material. It will be a chrome. Let's use black, Fresnel, white, a little bit of glossiness, and let's say 24 for the IRL. Let's redo the render, and you see that we have the chromic with the reflection over. So if you don't like so much the reflection there, obviously you can play, let's say first of all that we have more segments. You can play with the map there, so you can change the color. For example, you can say that you have more saturation, and you can have a little bit more contrast with a little bit less brightness. So if we go to render again, the map on the reflection will be a little bit better. So you can play with the parameters there to obtain the better result you like to have. So you see, it's a really simple way to prepare HDR map just using 3ds Max from the interior, how to render it with VRay, and then how to use it in a VRay scene to render the scene, obtaining the right shadows and the right reflection. So for the moment that's all, and I hope to see you back on Max Cookie to check for new tutorial coming from cgcookie.com. Bye.